and today I'd like to discuss a very important and popular discussion or topic, especially in our modern day and age. But first, I'd like to state some scientific facts and studies that will help us both remember and relate the ideas better. Obviously, every single one of us is very familiar with the 2019 COVID pandemic, where the world as a whole basically ceased to function. Studies became online, workplaces became your own desk, and even today people are still affected by it. Recently, Brown University issued a study discussing the effects the pandemic had on growing children within that time. Unsurprisingly, almost every single child portrayed a decreased brain activity in both verbal centers of the brain, directly tying to their decreased capability to speak fluently and freely. The brain is a scientific marvel. Even today, with all our scientific achievements and advancements, we are unable to even form a clue as to how we actually form conscious thoughts. But what we do know is that it is incredibly neuroplastic, which basically means we have the ability to shape the brain to whatever the body deems is necessary, not just to survive, but to thrive. Now, the brain, no matter how wonderful, does not have the ability to choose the best for you. It sees thriving as fitting in and adapting to your environment the most, which ties directly to the Brown University study. Children in isolation had to rely completely on social media as their only conversational outlets, whereas the brain saw the face-to-face part as unimportant and pruned it away. So, the brain, just like a patchwork sweater, we start off completely empty, picking up quirks and traits to form our own unique sweater, or our own personality. Unfortunately, the brain chooses to mirror how the brain chooses to shape itself to mirror our surrounding environment, and understanding this concept is exactly what helped me cause a shift in my own life, a concept I call the power of being a savant. Now, human beings are very intelligent creatures, which basically is a fancy way of saying we are lazy. This laziness often causes us to try and find the fastest and most efficient way towards a goal. Unfortunately, usually, this goal just isn't possible without the grueling work it entails. I had to learn this the hard way. Growing up, I used to be surrounded by people whom I saw as role models. They were cool, confident, loud, and obviously they were popular. Usually, these same people excelled in their own sports. They had found their own inner savants. So, I thought to myself, why don't I copy their own personalities instead of going through the grueling work to form my own? On paper, that is a way to effectively get all the rewards of having a personality without having to go through the work it takes. So, I put on the oversized sweater and I faked the jock persona. And expectedly, I failed miserably. I forced myself into sports I did not like, habits that simply did not align with me, and ultimately a lifestyle that just wasn't mine. But I realized that it just isn't possible to reap what you have not sown, which finally brings us to my own TED Talk subject. The textbook definition of a savant is a rare neurological disorder, often referring to autism. But the definition I'm aiming for here is the absolute and unapologetic excellence in one specific trait, a hobby, a habit that you love. That exact thing, no matter how niche and no matter how weird, is the exact way to unlocking yourself. No matter if it's a niche TV series where you decide to spend tons of time into memorizing every single piece of lore and even reading the fan fictions, or a sport you're absolutely adamant about excelling at. If that is where you're comfortable, then that is where you belong. But most people don't have popular hobbies, which often gets us weird looks whenever we express ourselves. But here's the secret. Excellence does not care about trends. When you master your own craft, that weird look becomes respect, and your niche ceases to be a quirk and becomes your own defining strength. So, my fellow savants, the world does not need more copies of the same popular persona. What we do need are people who are unapologetically obsessed with the things they love. So, I'd like to leave you with one message before I end this TED Talk. Find your niche, master your craft, and embrace your inner nerd. Thank you, and I hope you have a great rest of your days.